Jesus, risen Christ, bestow new life and hope within us, and empower us to share our faith and to show your love. Amen. In today's appointed Bible readings, we were introduced to three well-known New Testament characters: Simon Peter, Paul, apostle to the Gentiles, and Mary Magdalene. All three had their own unique responses to the risen Christ. All were righteous and admirable. All were an outcome of their own individual personalities and circumstances. Since we heard the selection from the book of Acts first, let's look at Simon Peter. Peter was a man who was known for being outspoken and impulsive. At times, his actions were commendable, such as when he was quick to identify Jesus as the Messiah. His actions were sometimes off the mark, as when he cut off the ear of a soldier who was arresting Jesus. After discovering that the tomb was empty, Peter quickly left the garden to tell the others. Today's account from Acts shows that Peter had become a bold speaker who bravely spoke truth to power as he shared the gospel truth with Cornelius, a Roman centurion. He described his own personal experiences with Jesus, how Jesus was crucified and rose from the dead, and how God has love for all people, showing no partiality. Yes, even the leader of 100 Roman soldiers. Now let's imagine a similar modern-day Peter. Living his busy life as a suburbanite, Pete has been noticeably anxious lately. He's feeling a need to step out of his comfort zone and do something he's never done before. Pete had been warned that things could get ugly and even dangerous, but kids, including his own, are at risk. So he joined a group of parents who were planning to march through their town to call attention to the gun violence that's destroying their community. After much prayer, Pete took a leap of faith. Walking arm in arm, he and hundreds of other concerned residents marched for their children and their families. As it turned out, fear was no match for the courageous love of this present-day Peter. Now let's consider the Apostle Paul, who wrote both epistles to the Corinthians. There was a time in his life when he was a persecutor of early Christians. However, having been knocked literally off his high horse, Paul had an encounter with the risen Christ, which converted him and in time transformed him into an effective evangelist who planted Christian communities throughout Asia Minor and onward to Europe. Today, we might see a situation like this. Pauline is an alcoholic whose life was saved and changed radically by her involvement in Alcoholics Anonymous. Pauline has lived a life of alcohol abstention for 10 years now. She encourages other struggling members of AA as a sponsor. She's spent hours listening to the people whom she's mentoring. She shares her own experiences as she too struggles to keep fighting her addiction. Pauline describes her personal resurrection from the days of her life-threatening drinking to her new life of sobriety. She gives her fellow AA members her phone number, with the assurance that they can call on her for help anytime, day or night. By turning to the one they recognize as their higher power, Pauline and her AA partners strive to recognize their weaknesses. They seek to make amends with those they've hurt, and they support each other in the challenges they face in their new way of life. In today's selection from the Gospel of John, we heard about Mary Magdalene, who returned to the garden tomb where Jesus had been laid after his crucifixion and death. Upon her arrival, she found the stone doorway rolled away, and she saw the tomb was empty. She reported her discovery to the disciples, who came, confirmed her finding, and then proceeded to tell others. Mary, however, stayed in the garden. She felt a need to stay and keep watch near the graveside. While keeping her vigil, she encountered the risen Christ. She was in Jesus' presence and was blessed for her faithful vigilance. Presently, Marie works in a local hospital. One evening after her shift had ended, Marie felt the need to stay with Helen, one of her patients who was on her way to meet God. Helen's son was on his way, but her condition was worsening. Marie refused to let Helen die alone, so she stayed, making sure Helen was comfortable, and assured her that she would not leave. Marie wiped Helen's brow and neck and lovingly held her hand. When Helen's son arrived at 2 a.m., he was able to tell his mother of his love, and he cherished the opportunity to pray the Lord's Prayer with her one last time. Their personal encounters with Jesus led Mary Magdalene to the tomb and to become the apostle to the apostles, and empowered Peter and Paul to be apostles to the nations. The resurrection encounters that Pete, Pauline, and Marie had gave them new life as well, and prompted them to die to themselves in order to open the door for others to have their own Easter experiences. During the weeks of the Lenten season, we've studied how characters in Les Miserables illustrate grace, justice, love, and hope. In our Sunday services, we've remembered biblical figures whose lives were changed by God's forgiveness. Nicodemus, who crept in darkness and became an advocate for Jesus. The man born blind, who gained his sight. The woman at the well, who had her emotional thirst quenched. The apostles' feet were washed, and their hungry hearts were fed. A criminal was promised paradise. On this Easter Sunday, let's ponder, which of these persons does our life reflect? And consider, what is our resurrection story? And then ask ourselves, who needs to hear our story? Either shared with them with our words or demonstrated to them by our actions. Alleluia, Christ is risen. Yes, he is risen indeed, and lives in us today. Alleluia.